We are live here at
Have you ever started an episode by not saying we are live?
I've never said that. But we are live. Literally just hit the button. Josie's in the house.
Yeah, if you hear some whimpering going on, we got Josie. She's commenting on our takes. Probably a lot of booing and hissing at Evan.
Kevin, your dog is lovely. I hope you're having a good time in Key West. Soaking up that sun. Hey, bring some of that good weather back up north, brother. So, it's been 2 weeks. I've been in South Florida with the family. It's good to be back.
How was that trek?
It was magnificent. Much needed time off. Much needed warm weather. Come back to Michigan. It's nice for a day or two, and now there's snow on the ground.
Was it nice being back for spring break again down in South Florida?
It was.
Where your glory days are?
Yeah, so we're not going to take much of a trip down memory lane.
No, we certainly...
That's right. Let's stay out of the spring break talk.
We certainly don't want to bring up any memories of Ron Jeremy or anything like that.
Oh, man.
So we'll just leave that in bed.
Yeah, that's where it should be. So Ron Jeremy, he's got himself into some hot water.
No kidding.
So what's on the agenda today, my boy?
So we're going to do a little Spartan recap / look forward to next season. Just kind of get a sense for where we're at, what we want to do, and what we think is going to happen in the offseason. And we're going to do a little NFL Blitz where we're just going to cover some of the topics, just go back and forth a little bit on what we think is going to happen.
We're going to
and
edit that out, Josie.
Josie's doing a lot of clapping for us.
Simmer down. You got a lot to say, do you?
Take a chill pill, huh, Jojo? Anyway, yes. That's what we have on the agenda today. So let's just get into it. Evan, the Spartans lost to Duke, and we're watching Duke play Arkansas right now to go to the Final Four. They're up 10.
They're going.
They're going to go. But we should have had them.
We did have them. Man, we were up 5 with 5 minutes to go. I was feeling good. It felt like 2019 all over again, and I needed my boys. So I hit the FaceTime. We were about to get together, but you couldn't do it. So you were with the lady friends. So
I was.
Me and Taylor were live for the final 5 minutes. We experienced it together. And you were nowhere to be seen or heard, so bitter defeat. It was sad. But hey, I'm proud of our boys.
Hogard is showing signs of being an elite guard.
Absolutely. Just like I told you. He's showing signs of being the next guard to have his number hanging in the rafters.
All the way up top?
All the way up.
In the nosebleeds?
I don't know if his ceiling's that high. I don't know if his ceiling is the roof. But
thank you, Michael.
I really like him, and he says all the right things. I don't know if you listen to him after the game, but
he does.
He's what you want to hear from a point guard after the game too. He's talking about doing it for the seniors, and I knew I really needed to get going at that stretch of the game. It makes you wonder why. I mean, I know he was in foul trouble against Duke, but all year long his minutes were in the 20s. When I thought they should have been in the 30s, but I digress.
You talk about doing it for the seniors. I look at you and I say, what seniors?
Ugh.
Gabe Brown. I just saw he announced today that he's going pro.
No.
Yes. Thank you, Gabe. Go pro.
What does that mean?
Have fun in Israel.
What does that mean for him? Yeah, Israel?
Yeah. It means he's going to be playing for the Toledo Drive, or he's going to be in Israel.
Has he hired an agent, though?
Who knows?
I feel like for Gabe, he might end up
Who's his agent? His mom?
He might end up playing somewhere else. We might not have seen the last of Gabe in college basketball. It ain't gonna be with us. God bless him.
Is there any way he can go to Michigan?
4 3-pointers in the first half. Almost felt like it was going to be his night to drop 28 points and just springboard us to the Sweet 16, but...
And then what does he do?
Went cold.
The great Houdini act. He gets behind the curtain
and
he disappears.
Don't hate on Gabe, all right? We had Duke on the ropes. It was the last 5 minutes, and I don't honestly he didn't show up in the last 5 minutes, but I don't think he really had an opportunity to, and he's never really been that guy that's gonna put the team on his back.
So that was a very bitter ending, and it was tough because we struggled for a lot of the year, but there was glimmers of hope. There was times where, and that's what made the season so frustrating, was because there was times where they'd play so good, like an elite squad, and then it'd be gone in a blink of an eye. And they did that in the same game where they're showing all their attention.
Well, they did it for 35 minutes.
Exactly, for 35 minutes, and then poof, it's gone, and you know what? Fine. That's where they're at.
Duke hit some shots.
They did.
They blocked some shots. So I think we kind of just ran into a better team, and they laid it all out there. They came up clutch. Izzo said it after the game that he thought, if they could keep it tight going into the last 5 minutes, that they would, tense up and have too much pressure on them. But
that's what
they stepped
Duke
up.
did.
They stepped up big time.
That is what Duke did the rest of the year. Because when you have Coach K's grand poobah on the line, and it's you either perform or you're his last game and you're his loss. There's so much pressure on you, and all season they crumbled in that moment, except for against us, and that catapulted them now to then beat whoever the heck they had to play. I couldn't even watch that game. They barely beat somebody.
Yeah, I didn't. I was asleep.
And
I can't watch these guys. I don't care. They're going to beat
Arkansas. And then they're beating Arkansas, and they're in the Final Four. They're going to play Kentucky. And as Big Cat said on The Grandfather, pardon my take, I might die.
If they win it all?
Well, just with them playing UNC.
Oh, jeez.
In the tournament. Duke has never played UNC in the tournament. Ever.
So they're going to get the rematch in the Final Four?
Correct.
UNC's on later, right?
They play tomorrow. Against St. Peter's. So they just have to beat St. Peter's. Love the Peacocks. Love them. I don't know that they're going to... They did, but man, my man Dougie Eater, straight out of the 7-Eleven selling cigarettes, as Big Cat said.
Loving Big Cat.
Loving the Big Cat. You can cut out the first Big Cat.
He's great.
Just the stash. I don't know. He's just everybody.
Who do you got?
That I know wrapped into one.
Who do you got?
In all of our dreams.
You think the Peacocks can pull it off?
No.
Get to the dance?
No.
To the Final Four?
They are in the dance.
I know.
This is the first 15 seed in the Elite Eight ever. Ever.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch. I mean,
it is.
Everyone's rooting for them.
Heck yeah.
I hope they win the national championship.
No kidding.
How cool would that be?
That would be the best thing ever. And there's a lot of haters.
And that goes back to our debate the other day. Is this the best way to determine a national champion? We got St. Peter's.
Yes. And I say yes. If St. Peter's, they had to win their conference tourney and win 4 or 5 games to even get into the tournament in a row, and then win, facing a 2 seed, probably, well, then the 10 seed, but then like another 4 seed, a 2 seed, like they will have earned it if they win it all.
Oh, yeah, you don't win it all without earning it, but it's a make or miss game. So if you get hot for a month, then these guys are all very good basketball players. I love the dance. I love the big dance, but
he loves the dance.
Definitely not the best way to determine a national champion.
Anyway, we're getting a little off topic. Let's put it back to the Spartans. Next year, Gabe's gone, thank God.
Bingham's gone, probably.
I'm really hoping he comes back. It seemed like for both him and Hauser, a light started to go off a little bit down the stretch. And if they come back, I could see Hauser averaging 14 a game. I could see Bingham averaging 12 points a game with maybe 3 blocks, probably 8 or 9 rebounds. And that is a good front court. And then our guard play, I have no doubt at all about our guard play, 1 through 3 next year with Hogard, another year of maturation. I'm hoping he can shoot a little better than 24% from deep next year.
He's going to have to work on that jumper.
Tyson playing a little more two-guard, both playing together. Christie at the 3. Aiken's coming off the bench. Get a couple... I think Brooks... People are sleeping on Brooks. When he came in, he looked like a physical force that is going to attack the rack and potentially hit...
A little bit of a project, though, so
A little bit.
He should get better.
I think Paul Pierce.
Paul Pierce?
Paul Pierce.
That's pretty random.
I know.
I don't know.
There's just something about him to me that screams Paul Pierce.
Do you think he's going to end up getting stabbed like Paul Pierce?
Yes.
Multiple times?
He's got to stay away from knives.
So if he can survive the stabbing.
Yes. He could be good.
Hope that doesn't happen to you, Pierre.
Oh, sorry to bring that on you, P.
You just remind me of this guy that I used to know that
Something
got stabbed
about
a bunch of times and then ended up being a Hall of Famer.
Solid player. I think he's going to end up being really good for us.
Paul Pierce is in a weird phase right now.
Why?
Just got fired from ESPN.
Did he really?
Yeah, remember?
For what?
Well, in the past year, not just.
What was he doing?
Bad things. Well, I mean, depending on your definition of bad things.
Sounds like a good thing.
Posting provocative videos on Instagram.
Hey. There's a certain degree where if I don't know you and you're commenting on athletics, or if you're playing athletics, I don't care about your proclivities.
You a big Deshaun Watson fan?
Yes. And speaking of which, coming back from break real quick here, we're going to do a blitz on the NFL. Just a rapid fire. We're going to ask some questions, just get some general thoughts and what it may look like to us. And yeah, we're going to talk a little Deshaun.
A little bar talk after this.
Mega trades that are happening. The Chiefs lose Tyreek Hill. He's in Miami. They added another wide receiver yesterday. Former Packer Marquez Valdez-Scantling signing a 3-year, $30 million deal worth up to $36 million, by the way, in incentives, and that is according to Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport. So if you take a look at what Kansas City has at skill positions, Mahomes, McCole Hardman, Juju Smith-Schuster, nice addition there. He has some MVS speed, I guess. And Travis Kelce is really the wide receiver one and operates that way, so we can't forget and discount that. Is it enough on the outside to replace Cheetah?
As promised, we have some NFL blitzes just coming out of break here. We're going to talk just rapid fire real quick on some topics that are happening in the NFL. Thoughts on how just nuts this offseason has been. More entertaining than the regular season, less entertaining than the playoffs. This NFL season.
Maybe for Lions fans.
For everyone. What about a Packer fan?
We were in the playoffs.
The playoffs are so boring for you.
We were cruising all season long. That's the most entertainment you can get.
According to you, the regular season is number one in fun. The playoffs are probably number 3, and the off season is number 2.
Well, I mean, literally, in the regular season, yes, was a lot more fun for me.
Yeah, because you like to say that how good you do in the regular season, if you earn a bye, you automatically get a win attributed to your career.
It just proves my case, though, that the offseason you think is more entertaining than the regular season because the Lions are losing all regular season.
No, because
the offseason is more entertaining than NBA regular season. So NFL is king. We love it.
Is king?
We're here for all of it. King of the jungle.
King.
Not
King is Khan.
Lions used to be king of the jungle. NFL is king of the jungle.
No. The NFL playoffs are elite, are the best watch in all of sports. But the NFL offseason sets up those playoff matchups. And the regular season, yes, there's some cool points to it, and there's fantasy football. But really, all these moves in the offseason, to me, are all about what's going to happen in the playoffs next year. And less about what's going to happen in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you that because a lot of the contenders are making moves to get past the team that beat them. So
And a lot of non-contenders like Miami, Broncos, teams that weren't in the playoffs, making moves to try and jump up into the top.
Miami's not going to be in the playoffs.
I don't understand how they're
In
not.
a loaded AFC, they're probably not going to be in the playoffs.
I think so. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but I think there's no way. There's no way the Miami Dolphins are not making it. And
no way.
The Patriots are in. They're going to be the second team in their division. Patriots are going to be third. Patriots are going to be third.
Okay, we can talk about
the
that.
The Jets aren't going to be anything.
Yeah. So you think, but you
Buffalo should be solid. I think Von Miller, that's okay, but I mean he doesn't have Aaron Donald rushing up the middle.
Why'd they get Von Miller?
Honestly, I don't know.
To put pressure on Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, just like you were saying. It's a playoff signing. They don't even care if he plays half the games. Because they're gonna make the playoffs. They got him to put pressure on Pat Mahomes because they lost to Pat Mahomes twice. So these contenders are adding pieces that they think that they need to get to the next level, and the pretenders are adding pieces that they need to try to become the next step to become contenders.
But the problem
Dolphins aren't there. They're going to be.
Dolphins are there. Do you realize all that they've added?
Do you realize that they still have Tua?
But when you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
Who's their coach? That guy from the Niners? He's a joke.
McDaniel, who was a part of one of the most creative offenses.
Screw it all up for them. He's an act.
They also signed Teron Armstead from the Saints, the left tackle.
This ain't the NBA.
They signed a left tackle. They got Tyreek Hill. They already had the defense. Their secondary is great. They have young guys up front and skilled guys up front, and they have a linebacker.
They're a twinge playoff team.
I think they are better than the Patriots. I think they're better than.
They'll be in the hunt.
I
feel like Tua's probably
better than the Chargers.
I feel like Tua's probably going to get hurt, and they're going to have some weird stuff happen.
And then you know who's going to step in?
They got a new coach, and there maybe be a wild card team, but
they're making
AFC
playoffs.
Is loaded.
I know, and we're going to get to that. But here we go. We're going to do a little rapid fire. I'm going to throw some questions at you. Number one, Deshaun Watson. Speaking of the AFC, loaded. Moves to Cleveland. Cleveland bankrupts everything to get him and signs him to a astronomical contract. Still not really clear how things are going to go. How is this going to work? How is this going to work?
Why do they have to give him the contract, first of all?
No, they had to, because he wouldn't have came.
I don't think he had played a single game.
He had no trade. He had no trade clause, so he could have turned the trade down to them. They had to get him.
I think this is a case of Cleveland being just absolutely desperate to become a winner. Like a bona fide winner. And they're willing to risk it all. Reputation, draft picks, everything. And I don't think it's going to work out for them. I think it could turn out in some playoff appearances, but...
Put your shoes into a Browns fan.
They gave up their future, everything, for this guy who's going to probably be suspended half of next season.
I don't even think it's going to be half. But put yourself in the shoes of a Browns fan. Would you rather have your team going for it and making big moves like this, or sitting back like the Jets?
Yeah, I'm fine with them going for it. I mean, he's tied with Aaron Rodgers for the best quarterback rating of all time. Second best quarterback rating of all time.
He's talented.
Behind only Patrick Mahomes, who's only played 4 seasons.
I'd like you to tell me a offensive lineman / skill position player that he's ever played with.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Played with for 2 years and then was traded.
And did he play with Brandon Cooks?
No.
So, I mean, he's been great. Is he that next level great?
Played with Will Fuller.
And with everything swirling around him, I think he'll be very good. I think he'll put up numbers, but I think he's going to be missing that it factor to make them like a real legitimate contender.
What are you talking about, it factor?
Like being a leader in the locker room and being. I like Deshaun, so it's tough, but like
I don't think that's true.
He's got a big mess around him. That messes with your psyche.
I disagree because in the NFL, your teammates, his teammates are going to be Amari Cooper, Kareem Hunt on the offensive side, potentially Jadeveon Clowney, Nick Chubb. Do you think they care what happened?
No.
Do you think they're not going to listen to him and respect him after just playing with Baker? And you don't think they're going to be on the same level and be like, all right, dude, let's ball?
Yeah, no, I don't think they really care. But again, in a loaded AFC.
Kareem Hunt.
In a loaded AFC, I don't know. My gut tells me I don't see
Not in their division. I feel like they have an easy road to the playoffs.
Well, they got to go through Joe, the Steelers, who always are competitive, and then the Ravens.
The Steelers,
That's a tough division.
I still think they are by far. They won it last year or 2 years ago. They didn't win it this year because Cincinnati, but they were right there. They were right there. And Baker was hurt.
I like them going for it, and it'll be very interesting to watch. It's great. I'm glad he's going to be back. Hopefully the allegations are not true, and he doesn't get suspended, and they're a competitive
So this
team.
is brass tacks. We're going to take score here. Do they make the playoffs, and what round do they go to?
Ooh, you're putting me on the money here. Browns in 2022 do not make the playoffs. I'm just going to hedge my bet there because there's a good chance that he's suspended. And then who's their quarterback? I'm not really sure. And no, I would bet against them making the playoffs.
So you were on
because they would have to win their division.
You were on the books for the Browns not making the playoffs next year.
Yeah.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy is a dingo. I have them in the AFC Championship at a minimum.
Who's the dingo?
You.
What happens if Deshaun gets suspended for the whole season?
Doesn't matter.
They uncover because he's not settling these civil cases.
Yes, he is.
So dirt is going to get aired. And the NFL is all about image. Okay. So minimum, just as a flyer to women.
We have you on the books.
Right or wrong, they're going to suspend him at least 4 games.
We have you on the books. He sat out all last year as a penalty.
He didn't sit out as a penalty.
Yes, he did.
No, it was more of
he did.
Team-inflicted disagreement and an agreement not to play. There was
no
NFL penalty.
Is going to do time served, for sure. They will, because they want him on the field.
All right, well, you bet on that. I'll bet against it. And
we're going to take notes. I'm taking notes. We're going to look at it. We're going to track it over time.
I think they'll be competitive.
Absolutely. But you don't think they're going to make the playoffs?
But if you're going to make me bet on them making the playoffs or not right now, they're probably a fringe playoff team with him in a loaded AFC again.
I don't need all that.
And with the chance of him getting suspended,
I don't need all that.
I'm betting against it.
I don't need all that. All I needed was, are they in the playoffs and what round? You said they're not in the playoffs.
Okay.
I'm saying they're in the playoffs in the AFC Championship. I've written it down. The record is struck.
You realize all the team you're putting them over.
Here we go. The record is struck March 26th. I say in AFC. You say down in the playoffs. We'll look back at this in, let's say, about 9 months.
That's going to be fun.
See where we're at. Okay? Next topic on the Blitz. This isn't really a blitz because you're bloviating on every freaking topic. But here we go. Here is the big bloviate. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back.
Sorry for expounding upon my points.
Sit back and really listen to a good bloviation, because the next thing on my list is Aaron Rodgers returning, Adams being shipped. Are the Packers going to blow? They don't have any offensive weapons.
No. I don't want to bloviate. I don't want to be accused of hogging up all the time on the podcast tonight. So it's a very simple no.
They're not going to blow?
The Packers could roll it out as is. We could skip the draft, and we'd still make the playoffs.
Wow.
But we're going to get a couple receivers in the draft, and we're going to roll it, baby.
How good is Allen Lazard?
Good enough.
Good enough. I love Allen Lazard. I think he's underrated. I think Aaron is bummed.
He's going to make a nice wide receiver 3 after we draft a couple of receivers.
And I think they didn't throw to him so they could let Aaron go and now have him on the low.
So they could let Aaron go?
Not Aaron. The other guy, Adams.
Yeah.
All the A's are confusing.
Yeah, very confusing.
Anyway, do you think Rodgers, like, you were texting me the whole time. Anytime any Rodgers news came out, oh, he wants to come back with Devontae, his boy. Look out for a Rodgers and Devontae deal coming. And then he came back, and we're waiting for a Devontae deal. And, oh, by the way, Aaron, Devontae, he's going to be playing in Las Vegas.
That's fine. He was in the know. He knew Devontae was leaving, I think, probably before the season was even over. Because if you recall, before the season, when they did the last dance on their Instagram stories with the MJ Scottie Pippen, I think that's when they knew. That's when Aaron
So
knew.
now the last dance.
It all makes sense.
Oh my gosh. Last year, the last dance referred to Aaron's gone after this year. They're going to win the Super Bowl.
Turns out it was Devontae.
They're going to win the Super Bowl, and then they're both going to be gone.
So,
Cut to them losing their only playoff game to the Niners in Jimmy Garoppolo. And now we're at, well, Aaron really meant that this is the last dance for him and Devontae to lose
was it not?
when it matters the
Was
most.
it not?
And it's going to be a next chapter next year.
Was it not their last dance together?
It was their last dance
And who
together.
left?
It was not planned to be this way. When he posted that, he did not. There's no way
Reports came out
on
yesterday.
this earth
Reports
he
came out
posted
yesterday
that.
that Devontae was out after the season, right after the
There's
season.
no way on this earth
Aaron's
when
back.
he posted that he meant this is the last dance because I'm coming back
probably-
and Devontae's not.
I'll give you that he probably thought they were both leaving. And things changed throughout the season. And he's got management's ear. And he's like, all right,
AKA, he
Devontae,
realized winning's not that important.
Devontae,
He's okay
it's all
losing.
good. I knew you were going to leave anyways. I know you want to go back to the West Coast. I was thinking about doing that too.
Yeah.
You go back and you play with your quarterback. I got things dialed in over here. We're going to reload. Great defense. And then we're going to get a couple young stallions from the picks that we got for you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be chucking it all
Couple
over.
young stallions. Evan would love to take their seed.
If we get, let's say we get Olave. You love laughing about your jokes that nobody gets. But anyways, let's say that we get Olave and we get like Johan Dotson or Traylon Burks.
Johan Dotson.
Justin Ross or Christian Watson. Say we get any combination of those fellas. What if we get Drake London? Anyways,
Question.
If we get
what if
anyone,
they trade both their first rounders to move up to get Malik Willis?
that'd be something.
That'd be something.
The
Wouldn't
only
surprise me.
weakness that we have on our team is receiver, and we have the best quarterback in football. So
No, you don't.
I am not worried if that's
You
what
have
you're
the
asking.
biggest choke artist in football. Anyway, moving on. The
Rapid
Packers.
fire. You're over here bloviating
The Packers.
about the Packers.
The
People
Raptors.
were worried about me going
Moving- Moving on to the big trade that just happened with Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins. You have said earlier, Dolphins don't make the playoffs. You're
They
out.
could make the wild.
You're out on the Dolphins and the Browns.
They're both fringe playoff teams in the AFC. I like the Dolphins a lot. I like the speed that they have at receiver. They've added some serious speed at running back as well. They got Mostert, right?
Yes, and they have
And
Chase
they got
Edmonds.
Breida. Do they still have Breida?
I don't know, but they signed Chase Edmonds, which is probably
They
the
still
bigger
got what's his name? The other running back that you had on your fantasy team last year. They still have him.
one. The legend. Yeah, he's still there. Miles Gaskin.
Gaskin.
Still don't understand how no one's gasking for him in a trade.
Gaskin and Robbins.
I know. He's great.
That was my recommendation for you.
Thank you.
I think with Tyreek Armstead and sort of they got some other dudes on the offensive line and you got some dudes on defense. Holland. Who else do they have on defense? Got some pieces. They're going to be a good team. But
So Tyreek Hill.
I love
him
it.
and Waddle.
You know what I love most?
I could not have a bigger wet dream in Madden than having Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
It's a lot of fun
together.
But then you have Tua as your quarterback.
That's fine, and that is my concern because his arm strength isn't great. But then when you think back to his days in Alabama, and he was very good at throwing it to all of the weapons he had, they just got premier speed again. He's going to be slinging around the field.
They have a lot of speed.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, if I could pick two wide receivers to put together, if I wanted speed, those are the top two. Like, they sorted by speed on Madden, and they got both of them. And they did
we'll take these
damn good job picking them up. They gave up a lot to get them, but
they're in a place where they signed their O-line.
And I appreciate it.
They have the defense. They signed their O-line. They have their quarterback.
And if they don't, I feel like they're going to be competitive enough,
right?
Where Tua's going to be playing with good receivers and good backs, where he's going to put up good enough numbers. Where if they feel like he really ain't that dude, they can trade him.
Yeah, they could.
And next year there's going to be some quarterbacks in the draft, and they probably won't be in a position to get some of those guys.
But with the quarterback,
they're a dangerous team, but I don't see them as a contender.
How many of these quarterbacks last year at this time would you have thought would have been available? Russ.
Well, we knew Russ could be potentially on the.
I don't know that this time last year
there was talk of him being on the.
Barely. There's so many quarterbacks on the move that I feel like teams are going to be able to start.
They might be able to get Tom Brady next offseason.
They could. They maybe.
Can you imagine that? Could. Tom Brady's just like, go down south a little bit further for one more season.
A little further.
And then they win a Super Bowl. He would. I guarantee you, if he's a free agent next season, he's going to go.
No, he won't. He's going to San Francisco.
If Tua doesn't play well.
So we talked about the whole Hill ordeal going out from Kansas City. I know you are already down on Kansas City, but NFC West.
AFC West?
AFC. Yeah, NFC West too, but AFC West. You have the Chiefs. You have
Chargers.
The Chargers. Raiders
Broncos.
And Broncos. Who's getting left out of the playoffs? Broncos?
Yeah.
They have a lot of weapons.
Chargers added.
Their defense is good.
Did they add Khalil?
Yes.
And they got Bosa.
And J.C. Jackson.
And they brought back Mike Williams. They got Keenan Allen. Got other dudes, a receiver. They got, obviously, their quarterback coming back.
They need to trade up to get Jordan Davis. I think the Chargers are in.
The draft.
I think
they were right on the cusp in the last game. They're good. Right. They're in. The Chiefs are going to find a way. But they got some question marks.
They do, but I can't imagine an NFL playoffs without Mahomes.
The Raiders are loaded.
On offense. On defense, not so much.
They got the draft, and they got some nice pieces. They got some nice pass rushing pieces.
They do. I still kind of think it's going to be the Raiders again, left at the door.
No, because Devontae is a big piece, man. He's going to get open, and he's not getting double-teamed anymore because they also have Waller, and they got Renfro. They got some weapons. They got Josh Jacobs, Kenny Drake coming back, and Derek Carr is more than serviceable. I'm actually low-key a big Derek Carr fan, even though he's kind of a corny-ass dude, but I like him. I think he's a good quarterback.
Dare I say that he spreads the ball around even though he has Devontae?
And he should.
And as Aaron should have, but we don't need to get back into that.
Devontae's not going to put up the numbers like he did in Green Bay. If you look at you can just run his film or his highlight tape or whatever. his highlight plays, he makes great plays, but
Aaron's
like him and Aaron's chemistry, it's just off the charts, dude. Aaron's putting the ball right where he knows the ball they can get it, and Derek Carr's not going to be able to do that. So his numbers are going to take a deep dip, but he'll still be great. And they still have I think they have the best tight end in football and the best slot receiver in football. So it's a quarterback's dream.
So you have the Chiefs in, you have the Raiders in, and the Chargers.
Broncos sitting.
With the Broncos sitting.
Which is going to be, man, they are going to be a firestarter if they miss the playoffs after trading for him.
And giving away those picks, that would be tough. Seattle would make a way with.
I feel like they're going to find a way to go all in, though. Man, they might all make it. Maybe.
Can they? Is that even mathematically possible?
It's possible.
I guess
But we just mentioned all the other weapons in the AFC.
But the thing that you mentioned to me early on a couple weeks ago is that the AFC West plays the NFC West.
Ugh. Gone.
So
absolute gone.
So all of those 4 teams on both sides are playing each other at least once and then playing the other. So not only do the Raiders have to play the Chargers, Chiefs, and Broncos twice, they have to play the Niners, the Cardinals. Who else? The Rams.
Defending Super Bowl champs.
That's a gauntlet.
The Chiefs only have 3 gimmies all season long.
Yes.
They probably have the toughest schedule in football. So they absolutely cannot come out slow like they did last year.
Whew.
Or else they will miss the playoffs.
Yeah. Which I don't think they would. I mean, they made the playoff or made the Super Bowl last year and then came back a little flat.
They could be my sleeper. They might be my sleeper to. Man, could you imagine them missing the playoffs?
I can't. I really
can't. And
can't.
Mahomes just on his trajectory, but they lost a huge piece of their offense. He cannot be understated.
They did.
Tyreek.
They did.
He's their get out of jail free card on 3rd, 4th down. How many times did they run that motion flat route on 4th down where he just automatically gets a first down, or the end around?
They had 2 get out of jail free cards. One was him. The other was Kelsey. Kelsey's getting older. I would have probably traded Kelsey and kept Tyreek, but that's just me.
And teams shaded Tyreek every time.
Probably. But so that's your call.
Big change.
That's your call. I support it.
I still got the Chiefs.
You think the Broncos are out in the AFC West? I think the Raiders are going to be left out. And we'll write that down. We'll revisit that.
No, yeah. I mean, I could see it. But when push comes to shove, if I have to put one team out, it's the new quarterback with the new coach. And I'm a big Nathaniel Hackett fan, too. I think he's great. But, man, I hope I like
They
him
have
a
too
lot.
many weapons in run game.
Everyone else is just loaded. It's just too tough. They could all make it, though. They could.
So, a couple other hitters here. Jameis Winston going back to the Saints. He, through 5 games or 6 games, however it was, they were like 5-1, and he was looking really good until he hurt his knee.
Doesn't excite me.
Anything?
He had one great game against the Packers week 1 when we were sleeping.
He had several great games.
And even that game, it was just touchdowns. It wasn't like yards or like great plays. It was just open touchdowns that he hit. And kudos to him for making the plays over there. But the Saints they're going to be a 500 ball club.
Okay. I think it's
I guess there's no such thing as a 500 ball club anymore.
Right. I think it's a little more than that. I think that the Saints will actually challenge for a playoff spot. I think the Saints will actually get a playoff spot in the NFC.
Who's their coach?
I don't even care.
That's a big problem. Might want to think about that.
I don't
Sean
really
Payton
care.
ran the show.
Yeah, but
Where
their
is he
defense,
now? He's on a beach somewhere.
is absolutely loaded. And their offense is going to be fine. They did lose their left tackle to the Dolphins, Taron Armstead. But the way Jameis was playing, I think they're going to get some weapons and Mike Thomas back. When you add back Mike, I don't think they're going to trade him. They're going to get back Mike Thomas. They're going to draft O-line or a receiver. They're going to help their offense. You have Kamara coming back again. I feel like there's probably enough there to squeeze a playoff appearance out of them. I don't think they're going to win the title with Jameis.
No
obviously.
chance in hell.
Okay.
We can write that down.
Okay. Steve says playoff.
Frame it. Laminate it. Saints?
Evan says no way in hell.
Oh, my gosh. You got Jameis Winston taking the Saints to the playoffs.
Well,
in Sean Payne's
what you're not about to go back on is the fact that the NFC is weak as hell.
And there's 7 playoff teams, so you're banking on them sliding in at 7 somehow.
Yup.
So let's see: Packers, Bucks,
Rams,
Cardinals,
Niners.
Who's the other division?
Cowboys.
There's 6. Vikings. They could be in potentially mix, maybe. There's also a good chance they go like 4-13.
Disagree. Their defense is way too good.
Who's their coach again?
I don't care.
All
Their
right,
defense
doesn't
is way
matter,
too good.
It's the most coach-heavy.
I'm sure they don't have anybody like Dan Campbell.
There is no other sport
The man.
in which coaching is more important than football. And you don't even know who their coach is. I don't either. But they're going to make the playoffs.
Saints head coach is Dennis Allen.
Yeah, they're host.
They're fine. They're fine. Absolutely fine. Keeping the blitz going. Matt Ryan. Colts. Anything? I mean, we've went through the NFC or the AFC. The AFC has no room.
They're up against it, but honestly, their roster is nice. They did lose some.
Okay.
I think they lost some receivers.
But no, the Colts? Not really. They have Pittman back, who was one of their top weapon. I think they have Pascal.
I think they lost Pascal.
Does Pascal
I
leave?
think he hasn't signed anywhere yet.
T.Y. Hilton was
All they got to do is hand the ball off. They'll be in the mix.
The run game.
They're not a contender. They're a potential
Pittman,
wild card team.
Doyle, defense solid, potential wild card team. Actually,
It'll be nice to see Matt Ryan.
I
play
think
for a contender again.
if I was a betting man, I would take them over the Titans.
Why?
Because the run game and then Matt Ryan throwing play action off of it, they still could get another receiver in the defense. I don't think the
They can win the
Titans'
division.
defense is going to be that great, and I don't think their offense is going to be that great.
Yeah, I could see that being a battle. And the AFC side.
It has been for the last 2 years.
Yeah, big time. And then you got the Texans rebuilding, the Jags still rebuilding. Yeah, I could see it. I could see him sneaking in with getting a home playoff game.
I can see the
As
Jags.
Duke advances to the Final Four.
I don't even want to talk about
Probably going
that.
to have a date with North Carolina.
I
That's
could.
something. And you tell me that sports aren't rigged. We
Right.
got hosed against them.
Yeah.
Of course, they beat Arkansas by a comfy 9 points.
Last topic. For everybody who's listening to this, you all play fantasy football. How do you feel that the last 22 years, not a single running back has repeated as the top running back in not only fantasy football, but is in regards to the top rusher of the NFL and who would be considered the top rusher? There's never been someone who's done it twice in the last 22 years. Last year was Jonathan Taylor. Who's going to do it next year?
History will be made. JT, baby. He's
JT's
going to run it back.
with it.
You think about it. I mean, they're basically rolling it back. He's
He
entering,
was
he's
really
entering
young.
his prime. He's going to be a better pass catcher. And he's also got a veteran quarterback, a field general, that's going to be able to read the defense and put him in better positions to gash the defense. So, JT, is definitely, easily the number one draft pick across the board. And it shouldn't even be a question.
I think I hear you there. I think there's two guys that are dark horses, and that's how this happens. People jump out, right? There's two guys to me.
Yeah, it does happen.
Two guys to me. One is Javonte Williams in Denver. Now that they have Russ, and Russ cooks, but they're going to run the ball, and their offensive line solid. He could end up having a really good year. In the other, my man, DeAndre Swift. The offensive line is by far top 5 in football. MCDC wants to run the ball. We actually have some weapons on the outside. I could see Swift coming up with a 1,600-yard, 1,700-yard total catching and receiving with probably a combined 14, 15 touchdowns, combined rushing and receiving, where he ends up with a PPR league leading the league. I could see it.
You know, Coach K just passed up the Final Four hat. Oh, I don't like that. He gave the reporter a big hug. Oh my gosh, we made it. And then someone offered him a Final Four hat and he waved it off. He's got a mad comb over it, probably messed it up.
Anyway.
What were you saying? Oh, Swift.
Oh, Swift?
That's the most drunk Lions Kool-Aid thing I've ever heard. He's probably going to finish outside the top 15.
Well, do you want to take action on that?
I mean, if you're going to... We're talking action.
I'll put him in top 5 running back right now.
Yeah.
How much?
$100.
$100 right here. Top 5 running back.
You heard it here. Steve's going to owe me $100 next January. And we're going to win the Super Bowl. You got D Swift as a top 5 back in the fantasy football.
Yep.
This is going to be for our league.
Every league. PPR.
$100. What fun.
All right, so here we go. Just a recap here. Evan does not think the Browns are going to make the playoffs. Steve thinks that they're going to make the AFC title.
Championship.
Steve thinks the Packers are going to blow. Evan says no.
Every year.
Steve thinks the Raiders are not going to make the playoffs in the NFC West. Evan thinks it's going to be the Broncos. AFC West. Forget them. Jameis Winston to the Saints, back again. Steve thinks they're going to be in the playoffs. Evan thinks there's no way in hell. And last but not least, Swift, top 5 running back, PPR leagues next year. Steve says yes. Evan says no. $100 on the line.
Coach K sucks.
Coach K sucks. And that is a wrap for this magnificent production. Magnificent. For this magnificent production.
Thanks for staying with us.
Spartan my take all day long. Thank you for checking us out on Spotify. We're happy to be off the YouTube platform.
We haven't figured that out yet.
We're happy to be off the YouTube.
Soon to be on all podcast platforms near you. But for now, on YouTube, it's Spartan my take.